Welcome back to another episode of Street Writers.
These are 10 minutes of writing motivation, inspiration, and activation. Take a swing at this.
It's our tips, our tricks, our sleight of hand to power up your pencil and percolate your brain.
The question becomes, when you are a writer and you need inspiration, you need education and stuff like that. Education you cover, just listen to this show.
That's right.
That's it.
Done.
But when you go into every bookstore, if you get on Amazon, wherever you go for your books, you see row and row and row of how to write, on writing, and stuff like this. And obviously, they're all good books.
And pre-order your Street Writers book from now.
It's coming. It will be here, right, at some point. You have to decide. We have limited time.
Right.
We should be writing. We should be doing our day job, unless the day job is writing, whatever. But you have limited time. So should you be reading Stephen King or Stephen King on writing? They both can inspire you.
Yeah.
But if I go too far down that how to write, I compare it to, a book on how to shoot a jumper in basketball. You can learn all you want about where the elbow should be and the fingers and stuff like that, but you need to see somebody doing it. You need to be inspired by that. So finding that balance between reading a book by Elmo Leonard and saying, look at the way he created a whole different way of describing characters. It's almost like dialogue, but it's descriptive.
Yep.
I could read him telling me that, or I could be amazed at what I'm seeing.
When he's writing
When he's
in
actually,
one of his stories.
Right,
one
exactly.
Of his books.
And you almost like read it and you go, holy shit, what did I just read? Why is that so different? And then it inspires you. You need to balance it. You need to figure out books that are good on writing. And I did mention Stephen King on writing, which I loved. But I've learned as much from reading Stephen King as from that. And I think that balance varies for everybody. So
so what's the takeaway there then, in terms of that you need to do both? Because one or the other, just being inspired by a great writer or a great piece of writing is, oh my gosh, I want to be that, or I want to do that, and let me go muse on that for years and never do anything. But also reading all of the how-tos or going to even all the how-to seminars. It's a sinkhole in its own right, because I'm amassing all my tips, and I'm gonna apply all these. I got to keep refining my craft. Becomes an excuse in its own right.
Yes.
To learn more. I got to go to one more seminar. I got to buy one more book from Amazon. So
I think to me, and as we talk about it, it's almost like when you want to be a better writer, you make it like an assignment. You make it a task. I'm going to go to those seminars. I'm going to read those books on writing. I'm going to read another book on writing. I'm going to read something that comes at it from a different angle. And it becomes a task. For me, it's kind of like, don't lose the fun.
Yeah.
Like you should be having fun with writing as you're learning about writing. You're writing is, as we talk about, that's what we hear. It's hard work. But when you are going to try to get inspired or educated, it's okay to find a fun book and then realize what made it fun and do your own education with something that's good. Because I think what happens, or at least it happened to me, is you say, well, I have these 5 on writing books. And they sit on the shelf for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Find that balance. Read, 1, 2, 3 different good books on writing, especially if it's a writer you admire. But then go read fun stuff and be careful of that sinkhole of, well, I'm doing good for my writing by reading another book on writing. Either write or go have some fun once in a while and read something that's good.
Ultimately, you need to apply it. Whether it's that inspiration or that understanding the craft, you have to find the way to then channel that. Otherwise, you're a poser. And you're not a writer. And we need to, that's what we're trying to be about. The practicality of the writing.
Go out and have some fun. Go read some fun stuff in addition to the how-tos.
Awesome. So balance. Got a tip to share? Send it to streetwriters.podcast@gmail.com. They beat us to the punch.
Admiring the craft or being jealous of it.
I've talked about games before. I like games. And games may not always be the first place you think about story and writing. But I came across one. We had mentioned this actually in the David Quinn episode, but it got cut. It's a game called Lifeline. And it's an interesting modern-day application of the text adventures that really started a lot of computer games. Where you didn't have any graphics. The processors couldn't move anything, but they could move words. They could move words across the screen. It's on your iPhone device, probably on Android, and it looks like it's a communicator, right? And you're receiving a message somehow in real time from an astronaut on a far-off planet.
Nice.
So you are here on Earth, and somehow he's communicating with you.
Nice.
And he is saying to you, listen, my ship just crashed. I don't know where I am. I don't know who you are.
Right.
Right? So you're getting these real-time text messages, and then you're helping him make choices. Should I leave the ship? Should I go across that horizon? Should I explore that temple that I just found? Should I sleep next to the nuclear reactor core tonight because it's warm and it's like freezing? So you're getting all these little choices, and you have to help him navigate what he's going to do next. And an additional conceit to that is that it's all in real time, if you want it to be. In other words, if he says, okay, I'm going to go sleep next to the reactor core because you said that's what I should do.
Right.
It's 6 hours later until you'll hear from him again, because now he had to go and crash for 6 hours, and then you find out, okay, I stayed warm all night, that was a good decision, or geez, I seem to be growing a third arm because you told me to sleep next to the plutonium,
right,
or whatever it is. I'm not giving anything away,
right?
But it's well written. It's the dialogue from the astronaut is just enough. It feels like it's got enough cleverness to it. It's engaging you.
Right.
The choices that you're making
right.
are very clear and concise.
Wow.
And there's a lot of great surprise, to it of, well, what's happening next? Is this a survival scheme? Are there other aliens involved? And the conceit of communicating with somebody puts you in a really nice participatory role that is different than a lot of these things are structured, where say you just take on the role of the astronaut,
right?
Or, in that way. So it's called Lifeline, and it's a pretty keen, like I said, little thing. Definitely worth checking out, and I definitely admired it.
Awesome.
Jealous of it.
I love also the retro, kind of like as the graphics on games go through the roof and stuff like that. To have something so compelling, engaging, that's based on messaging is such a wonderful. Nothing wrong with the giant ones, but it's wonderful to have something on the total of its side of the spectrum. So,
and it plays nice to the situation too, because we're so used to texting on the phone.
Yes.
So it feels very natural, even though it's about the future in its own way.
Love it. What writing is knocking you out? Tell us about it at anchor.fm/streetwriters/message. Hit us with your best shot.
It's time to get in the ring with us.
And this time, we're taking the ring to Toronto.
Nice.
A nice little ending to continuing of our story. You had done that film, tremendous acting for a film called We Should Probably Give a Shit.
My best Richard Nixon.
That's right. And it was fun, and it was a 5-minute film. And I had been in a cool festival called Film Minute with John Ketchum. And I thought, what the hell? Let me try to make this a 1-minute film. And as I'd mentioned in a prior show, we got to, out of 1,500, we got to the top 40.
Right.
And he sent a wonderful rejection letter. We didn't make the top 25, which is the ones they do. So it was like, coming in fourth place at the Olympics. But I said, well, if this guy likes it, if that esteemed jury liked it enough to get it to that level, let me send it out to a few places. We got it into a festival called Just a Minute Toronto. And it's kind of a full circle for me, because my first film, probably 11 years ago, we got picked up in Toronto. And Toronto's a wonderful hotbed for film festivals. I mean, there's obviously the Toronto Film Festival, but there was the Giggle Shorts Comedy Festival. We were in that. And it's just this whole downtown of people going to different festivals.
Right.
So I love it. And the big debate now is, do we do an 8-hour road trip for a 1-minute film? It's like,
and the answer is apparently yes.
Exactly. Why not as an excuse? But I was thrilled that your acting and Grace and Bill and everybody else who was involved. Stephanie really did a great job with that, and I'm thrilled that we're now we had it in festivals at 5 minutes. Now we're in the 1-minute festival.
Right.
So.
Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us at streetwriters.podcast@gmail.com.
Tell your friends to listen, and their friends too.
Take it to the streets.
And fight to write.